our Squattober program. If you've been taking part in that, try to finish out strong and then make sure to fill out that post-program survey that we're going to be sending out so that you can receive your prize if you finished all the exercises as part of that. And then we have our 5th annual fun run that's going to be happening mostly in November. We're going to have our virtual training available, but then also a lot of our sites are doing on-site 5Ks or more this year. So if you want to learn more about your specific site and if they're going to be doing a fun run in person, then you can go to the registration for that and it'll have all of that information there. All right, let's go ahead and get this off of the screen and we will start out with today's stretch. All right. Okay. So we are going to be focusing mostly on hips and legs today. So fantastic if those hips are tight, if you've been sitting for quite a while today. We're going to get started out with just some basic hip openers. So for the hip openers, you can do this freestanding or you can hold on to a wall, chair, desk, something next to you. But we're going to pick that leg up, rotate it as far over as we can, and repeat. Getting some hip circles going on that big hip joint. Make sure we can keep that range of motion up. And you can use this to practice your balance. You can keep that foot in the air the entire time, or you can catch yourself at the bottom, reset, repeat. Let's do the same thing on the other side. So I started out with my left leg, so now I'm going to go to my right. Make sure you're picking that leg up real high as you can before you rotate back. Nice job. Let's get just a couple more in. All right. Next up, we're going to do some leg swings. So I'm going to start out going front to back. This one, you can also test out your balance or hold on to something to help you out with balance. But I'm going to keep this leg. I'm starting out with my left leg. I'm keeping it straight. And then I'm really just letting momentum do a lot of this work. Just loosening up those hips. I pull that leg back. Feel a little bit of the pull in the hip flexors. Maybe get a little bit of pull on the hamstrings when I kick that leg forward. You don't want to go too aggressive with this. Go ahead and switch to the other leg. You don't have to kick the leg out as far as you can. Just kind of let momentum do the work. Shifting that weight forward and back. Nice job. All right, now I'm going to go back to the left leg. Now we're going to go side to side. So again, hold on to something if you need to. This is going to be the biggest test of our balance if you're not holding on to anything. And again, you don't have to be too forceful with this. Really just loosening up that leg and then letting momentum do a lot of the work. Pull that leg up. Feel a stretch on the inner thigh. Pull that leg cross body. Might feel a little stretch on those abductors. And you might not feel anything with this. It really just kind of depends on how tight you are. All right, let's go ahead and go to the right leg or the opposite of whatever you're just using. I'm just getting those lateral or those side to side swings. Nice and loose, just loosening up those hips. Good job. Let's give it just a few more seconds. Lost my balance there for a second. All right. Next up, we're going to do some knee to chest. So doing this from a standing position, I'm going to start out pulling my left leg up, grabbing on my shin underneath my knee, and then I'm pulling that leg as far up, almost like I'm trying to pull my knee into my chest. And then I'm just going to switch to my right, do the exact same thing. A lot of times here, when I grab, I'll interlock my fingers just to give me a good grip so I can really use those arms to pull that leg in tight. That leg you're pulling in towards your knee. Try to loosen that leg up. not do any of the work with the leg. You want to relax that. Use those arms to pull the leg in. And then just slowly alternate between left and right. If you're struggling with the balance aspect of this, you can back up against the wall and lean back against that while you do this. Or you can go into a seated position, and while you're sitting down, you can do the same thing. Just whatever works best for you. Right, great job, guys. All right, next up, we're going to move on to the hamstrings. So for the hamstrings, I'm going to start out with my feet about hip width apart, and then I'm going to shift my hips back. So I want to keep my back fairly straight. Shift your hips back behind you, and then go down. We're just going to do a slow sweep, and then right back up. So doing a little bit more of a dynamic movement. We're not holding a stretch per se. And you want to go down to the end of your range of motion. Basically means you want to go down until you feel that tight pull in the hamstrings. You can't go down any further than sweep those arms up, hinge those hips back. So let's do just a few more. Nice. And since this is a stretch and I'm not actually lifting any weight, you'll notice I get to the end of the range of motion on my hip hinge, and then I do go down just a little bit further. I wouldn't want to do that with weight because I'm putting a little bit of a bend in my lower back, but since I'm just doing a stretch, no biggie. All right. Moving on. You can do this standing or seated. I'm going to do this standing. Just going to grab my right foot or ankle, whatever's easiest, most comfortable for you to reach. And then I'm going to go into a standing quad stretch. Not going to spend a ton of time with this, but you can do this on your own as many times throughout the day as you'd like. It's really simple. You can just stand up, get a nice quick stretch in. It's a big muscle, so it can get tight. Feels pretty good. You really pull that leg back. You can even get into the hip flexors a little bit. All right, let's go ahead and do the same thing on the left leg. Good job. And this one is a static stretch. So we're basically getting into our stretch, then holding that muscle in a lengthened position. We're going to hold this for just a few more seconds, but as you do these on your own, you can spend 30, 60, 90 seconds on each muscle. Really get a good stretch in those. All right. Next up, we're going to do a standing hip flexor stretch. So I'm going to I'm going to put one foot forward. I'm going to start out with my right foot forward, my left foot back. And then while I'm in this staggered stance, what you want to do is squeeze your glutes and lock those hips forward. Now from here, just slightly shift your weight forward. Doesn't have to be anything too crazy. Gonna feel a little bit of a pull on those left side of your hip flexors. If you want to go deeper into that, raise that left arm up. Hold that for just a few more seconds. Remember to keep those glutes engaged. That's going to really stretch out those hip flexors. Go ahead and switch left foot in front, right foot back. Squeeze the glutes. Slightly shift the weight forward. Doesn't have to be anything too crazy. Keep those glutes engaged as you raise that right hand up. Feel that stretch on the right side. Don't forget to breathe as we hold this. Nice deep breaths. Great job. All right, you can go ahead and relax. Next up, we're going to go in our final stretch into a side-to-side adductor stretch, which is basically those inner thighs. So I'm going to go into a wide stance now, wider than shoulder width apart. And then I'm going to shift my body weight to the right. Now, when you do this, you might find if you actively think of pressing your hips out to the side, then you won't actually have to move your entire body weight over that much. So I'm shifting my body weight over, shifting my hips to the right, keeping that left leg outstretched, feeling a nice stretch on my left inner thigh on those adductors. Great job. Let's go ahead and do the same thing on the other side. Shifting my weight, shifting my hips to the left. Keep that right leg outstretched now. Feel that stretch on the inner thigh. And then I'm just going to continue to alternate, holding each one 2, 3 seconds, and then slowly shifting my way back over. I like to alternate back and forth with this with repetitions as opposed to just holding, because in the standing position, you can really start to feel like you're doing side-to-side squats if you hold that for too long. All right. Let's get one more on each side. Shift the weight to the right. Shift the weight to the left. And you guys can relax. That is everything that I have for you today. Thank you guys so much for joining me for today's desk stretch, and I hope you all have a great, great rest of your day.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Stefan.